Do girls like being motorboated?
I can't answer that
Speaking
question.
as a
I'm not
woman?
like regular
Okay.
girl. But I kind of doubt I'm pretty sure motorboating has to be consensual. Listening public, don't motorboat somebody
Ask for consent
non-consensually.
before you motorboat. Is it just going now?
Yeah, it's going.
All right, welcome to the first episode of season 2 of the Pink Hoodie podcast. Holy shit. Before I introduce my guest, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who watched the first season. Thank you guys so much for watching that. And one of the main criticisms of the first season is that, like, we had, like, no structure. And so I guess we're going to try to add some structure to the show. Like, since all my guests are comedians, we're going to try to talk about comedy and, like, how they got their start and, like, comedy in general. And towards the end, we're going to ask every guest the same 3 questions, which are, what's your favorite joke of all time? Do you believe in an afterlife? And what's the worst you've ever bombed on stage?
Okay.
That being said, I'd like to thank James Duncan for helping me do this show. Without him, none of this would be possible. And so let's get started. My first guest is a wonderful person and hilarious. She runs the Chameleon Club open mic on Mondays at 8. You can see her all around Pennsylvania doing stand-up and
I go other places too.
and other places. Miss Audrie Marsh.
It's Audrey Marsh.
I fucked. I know. As I was saying, I was like, Jesus, I fucked up her name.
That's okay.
I know it's
okay.
Audrey.
It's an old-fashioned name. Yeah.
Thank you for doing the show.
Yeah, of course. Yep. I already told you it's like, comedians are best before noon.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm.
Yeah, it's like 11
present, feeling great.
Yeah. How was your Halloween?
Oh, it was good. I really didn't do anything for Halloween. I live in kind of a place where, like, we don't get any trick-or-treaters and things like that. I'm from Philadelphia. I usually go home to my parents' house because their like neighborhood it's like a big block party for Halloween, but then there was like a tornado and that horrible storm. So I didn't do anything. But my wife and I and my sister, we had like a group costume that we didn't really have anywhere to go, but we just put on the costume and like took pictures and then we watched scary movies at home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What'd you go as?
You watch Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
So I was Duke Silver. My sister was Burt Macklin, FBI.
Okay.
And Emily, my wife, was Janet Snakehole.
Okay.
Like Burt Macklin and Janet Snakehole. Duke Silver is Ron Swanson's alter ego with the saxophone. Like he secretly plays the saxophone. Yeah. So
like
that's
Bill
what I
Clinton.
was. Yeah. It was funny. It was like kind of a little bit of people didn't get it. Like, I texted pictures and they were like, "Is this a group costume?" And I was like, "You have to watch Parks and Rec." Yeah.
Yeah, I went as the Joker.
I saw your pictures. Yeah, that was, timely. It was
Yeah.
timely. Yep. It was like hardly anybody was doing that. So
Yeah, it was.
good
Everyone
job.
was doing it. Did you see the new Joker movie?
I did not. I have like very little interest in superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that maybe this one was more of a artistic take, but like even when they're doing that, I saw The Dark Knight and I was like, God, give me a break. I can't do it.
Really?
Yeah, Emily loves them. Emily, my wife, she loves those superhero movies and like she knows about the whole Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like I'm nerdy enough without like having having all those like nerd interests. So I don't do that kind of like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or it's just I think I don't operate well in the land of make believe.
Yeah. What's your favorite movie of all time?
I love like screwball comedy movies. Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion is definitely up there.
Okay.
I love the movie Heathers. That's one I can watch over and over again. Yeah.
They're remaking that, I heard.
I know. I'm like skeptical.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical because the original is so good. Yeah.
I haven't seen either of those movies, unfortunately. I don't even know what the first one you said.
Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion.
I've never heard of that.
It's from the 90s. When you were, in elementary school.
No, I was barely born in the 90s.
Jesus Christ, when were you born?
99.
Oh my God, really? I had no idea. I don't even know if I'm allowed to be alone in a room with you. I'm like, my babysitting rate is $13 an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. 99.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I'll be 21 next year.
Should I not say that on your podcast, or does your dad watch this?
No, he doesn't. I told him he's not allowed to watch it.
Okay. I don't mean to take the Lord's name in vain.
Yeah.
My apologies.
I do.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Goddamn. It's when you're not allowed to say it like your whole life, and then you start saying it. It's like the funnest
It's
thing
the
ever.
freedom of it. Yeah. I like to say, "Oh, baby Jesus."
Jesus H. Christ.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
We don't know what his middle name was, but it started with an H.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heavenly. Jesus Heavenly Christ.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I feel like you had more of a Christian upbringing than
Yeah.
I did, so maybe
you went
do
to
know.
Catholic school,
I did
right?
go to Catholic school. I did.
Yeah.
My mom is really Catholic. My dad is a good sport, and I think all of us there. I have 3 siblings. None of us are still practicing Catholics or really religious at all.
Yeah.
My sister is like a militant atheist. She upsets my parents all the time. I'm more willing to like just play along and like, hold their hands while we say Our Father. But my sister's like, absolutely not. She won't say grace at Thanksgiving. She leaves the table.
I still pray with my parents because it's like easier if I
Well,
do.
yeah. And also like my parents are kind of cute and I love them. So I'm just like, don't hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen, you know John Mulaney, right?
Yeah.
He has this joke, it just reminds me like of my family all the time, where he's like, somebody's like, who even believes in God anymore? And he's like, my mommy, that's who. So that's how I feel. I'm protective of my mother's feelings about Jesus.
Yeah.
So.
Did you listen to the new Kanye West gospel album?
I have not, no.
It's actually like really good. I like really liked it a lot.
I have a thing for gospel music. I like it's still like gives me like a feeling. Yeah.
I think you might like
maybe I'll give it a shot.
songs.
I think Kanye West is a tool, but I'll give it a shot. So
I'm like a huge Kanye fan, but like I totally understand why you hate him.
I don't hate him.
Yeah.
I never met him. But I just
I understand why you
sometimes
think he's a tool.
you can see a celebrity's narcissism right up front, and
Yeah.
it's just like it's a little off-putting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So you're one of the few comedians I know that's actually married.
Yeah.
And I love your wife,
Shockingly.
by the way.
Yeah, my wife is
Your
adorable.
wife, Emily.
Yeah.
I want to marry someone like Emily.
Everybody should marry somebody like Emily. She's very patient. She's very kind. She's a good comedy wife. I've noticed that a lot of people or a lot of comics with girlfriends or wives, you don't see a lot of them.
Yeah.
And Emily like tries her best to get to as many things as she can and be supportive. And I mean, I feel the same way. Like she runs a restaurant that I frequently go to, and she's a DJ, and I go to her DJ nights.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. She doesn't do that a whole lot anymore. We're getting kind of old, but
How old are you?
I am 37 and she is 43.
Okay.
So-
I thought you were in your very low 30s.
I'm not in my low 30s. I'm in my late mid 30s. Yeah, so
So if you had a kid at 17, I could be your kid.
you could be my kid, right?
Yeah.
That's just why 99.
Yeah. I'm glad I made it into like the 90s. Because these 2000s kids, man, fuck them.
Yeah, you're better than them. I think you're correct to feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe, like, how old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20, and you'll be 21 in May?
In February.
Oh, February. Okay. I don't know why I thought May. Yeah. Well, you're getting there.
Yeah.
You're getting there.
I'm excited.
Almost old enough to stay at the open mic the whole
Yeah.
time.
I don't even like want to drink. I just want to like do
Right.
comedy
You
shows.
want to stick around
Yeah.
and see everything. Yeah. I don't know. I'm envious of you though, because you started so young. You have a lot of time to get better,
Yeah.
and maybe if you wanted to take it somewhere, you could. You're not tied to a career or anything yet. You're just still
Thank you.
Yeah.
But
So.
I don't think this is gonna work out. But
I mean, who
It
knows?
could.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably there are tons of open micers and local comics that then moved on to New York or LA and made the right connections.
Like
and
Shane Gillis.
Right, Shane Gillis, a friend of mine.
Yeah, I opened for him twice.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
that was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And then I actually, before the shit went down, I asked him to be on the podcast because he was in like Harrisburg. And he was like, sorry, man, I don't think I have time. And I was like, fuck. And then the whole thing happened. And I was like, he's never going to be on the podcast now.
I don't know.
I
That whole thing, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think maybe this is kind of like an old person approach to it, but I do think that certain things and certain topics are not off limits and can be funny. I don't think racist jokes are funny, but I think that people can make jokes about race that are funny.
Yeah.
And I think that people can make jokes about feminism that are funny, and I do it all the time. I actually come way harder for that stuff than I do for and I think people think of me as a very progressive comic, and I think of myself as a progressive person, but I also think that there are certain aspects of being a radical leftist that are funny, and also being queer that are funny. And so I'm sure should anybody ever get a hold of one of my sets, they'll be like, oh, she said that she's against polyamory, and I'm not. It's just funny to me.
Was polyamory like fucking a lot of people, like like non-committal type thing?
Right. Well, I don't know how many polyamorous people listen to this podcast, and I might probably not be able to demystify it for you. But polyamory is basically, it's, you can have multiple partners, and there can be like a primary partner or not, and there can be like, the joke I have made about it in my set in the past that I stopped making because the polyamorous person got mad at me, is that the Venn diagram of like polyamorous people and super nerdy people is just like one big circle. Like it's like I don't know, for some reason, like the LARPing people and the cosplay people, they fuck a lot. They get down. So yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's a astute observation, but yeah.
And they got upset about that?
It just I did it on a festival that was like for
polyamorous people.
Yeah. I did it at the at Comic-Con. Okay. So there were a lot of polyamorous people there, and they were mad at me. They didn't like that joke. I'm kidding. It wasn't Comic-Con. but there's a lot of polyamorous people at Comic-Con. I'm sure. I've never been, but I would assume. Yeah. Furries and all kinds of shit. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you're a polyamorous person. No. Probably not.
Yeah. I feel like I'm like a one lady guy.
I'm also a one lady guy. Yeah.
Like I try to like put myself in the mindset of like juggling like girls or whatever, and that just like stresses me out. Like thinking like, cause like my thinking is just like I would be too lazy to do it anyway. Like it would hurt my brain too much.
I feel that way too. I feel like monogamy is the lazy way to do it, and I like to take the easy way out. Yeah.
I think I'm pro monogamy, I guess. But
I'm not anti polyamory or pro monogamy. Monogamy has worked for me. Yeah. But there's no shame in polyamory. Yeah. So. Yeah. I just want to rectify that. Yeah.
It's a personal choice for me, monogamy.
I actually feel like probably I'm less evolved or more lazy. I just really I can't like text anybody back, let alone like multiple people.
So do you want any kids? That was like my one question.
Do I want kids? I think if there would come a time that I wanted kids, I'd probably adopt or foster. I think, I don't know. Do I want to say this in public? That I'm a queer person, and I'm not sure about like environmentally, or if it's correct or wise for me to choose to like bring a whole other life into the world. Maybe I was made queer for a reason, and that was to decrease the population and the taxing of the environment. That's how I feel. And it's like it's kind of like a head and a heart thing where I'm like, oh, I really want kids, and it would be kind of cool to like have a baby. And then I'm like, well, then also like how many diapers end up in a landfill? I think I've told you this before. I have a lot of stress and anxiety about like climate change. It's on my mind a lot. It's on my mind right now.
Well, I have some Klonopin, and if you want to take your mind off of climate change a little bit.
I've thought about it. I've thought like maybe this is a medicatable problem, or maybe I'm just, more aware than everybody else.
Yeah. I worry about it sometimes, but it's also like hard to
what are you gonna
put
do,
it in, like,
right?
perspective. I guess like that that little girl, Greta von
Feinberg.
Yeah, Feinberg. I don't know her last name. I'm glad that she's like super like passionate about it and stuff. Yeah. Like I don't know like what I can do besides like recycle and not use plastic straws. That's
exactly. I know. Like that's what are you gonna do? You're gonna recycle? Like adorable. The world is still gonna go to shit. Like it's burning as we speak. What are you gonna do? And like the little girl Greta, like she's actually doing like the good work where she's taking corporations to task, and individual changes now are not really going to make that much of a difference. You're like a total drop in the bucket. You can like be vegan and drive a hybrid, or not drive at all, or like not use any fossil fuels and like solar power your entire life, and like still
it's not
there. The automobile industry and the plastics industry and like the fossil fuel industry, that's what's creating this problem. It's not your choices. It's somewhat your choices. Like if you're buying like fast fashion clothing, you can make a choice not to do that. Maybe put those businesses out a bit, or put those things out of business, but you won't. You won't. Like, and I have a kind of a nihilistic approach to this. It's not like I'm not doing anything. Mostly what I'm doing is worrying and just thinking about like skinny polar bears.
Do you think anything like radical will like happen to the environment in like our lifetimes?
I think if by 2050 we don't reduce our like the amount of climate change by 2 degrees Celsius, then we will probably see, and we're already seeing, this is just got really serious on your podcast. We're already seeing like extreme weather events and wildfires and hurricanes and the change in climate. Just, I mean, think about like you were born in 1999, but it used to snow in Pennsylvania, and now it's like pretty much it doesn't snow here. It used to snow in southeastern Pennsylvania. I can remember large snow events, and now we have like they call it warmer than usual, wetter than usual, but that's, I mean, now it's our typical climate.
Sorry, like something like a bump just happened.
Oh,
like,
I hit that spring, by accident.
Boing.
Yeah, so here's a very serious discussion about climate change. What you might see in your lifetime. Maybe I'll die before you. I'm 100 years older than you.
I wouldn't be
I feel
sure
like,
about that.
Yeah.
I feel like I could
go at any time.
I have like a kind of a joke. It's not really, I haven't like done it on stage, but I feel like I'm like a third done.
Yeah.
It's not really like a joke. It's more of like a comment, really.
Well, what do you think you're going to die of?
Vape-related causes.
I keep saying that. I switched from cigarettes to Juul, and people are like,
too.
aren't you afraid of the vaping pneumonia? And I'm like, you know what? I kind of didn't like the nebulous nature of maybe getting lung cancer. Yeah. This vaping pneumonia, I kind of hope I get it.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never even heard of vaping pneumonia, but that doesn't sound that bad.
Best case scenario, I get several days off of work. Maybe longer. And worst case scenario, I die. But that's not that big of a deal, right? We're comedians. We don't want to live that long.
Yeah. That was a sad observation. I think we're like getting close to like the time that we got to be out of here. So I guess we'll ask the 3 questions.
Now that we've talked a lot about climate change.
So we have 3 questions that we're going to ask every guest we have. Which one do you want to do first? Do you believe in an afterlife?
I'll answer that. I am pretty much an agnostic about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like a fallible human being. I have a friend, Kyle, who says, like, if you've ever dropped your phone in the toilet, you have no right to discuss whether or not there's a God. You're a fallible human. Like, how can we know? You know? Was
that Kyle Neff?
No, Kyle works. He's a screenwriter in LA now. But
does he know Jared?
I don't think he's met Jared. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jared just came home yesterday. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He unfollowed me on Instagram. What the fuck, Jared?
I don't even know how to unfollow people on Instagram. People listening to this podcast, if you could email me and tell me how to unfollow a person on Instagram, I would really like that information. Because I accidentally followed these people called Fecal Matter, and it's scary. And I would like to unfollow them.
Wait, is it just pieces of, like, shit?
No, it's not pieces of shit. It's these people that do crazy alien makeup, which sometimes I kind of like, but this is really, it's getting intense. And I can't figure out how to unfollow them.
Okay. Well, you could just
Fecal Matter, if you're listening to this podcast,
do you want me to show you
you're
right
scaring
now?
me.
No.
So my answer is, I really can't say if there is an afterlife, but I have the whole theme of this is my anxiety this morning, but I have like a lot of anxiety about whether or not there is an afterlife because I would rather there not be.
Yeah, me too.
And it makes me like, it doesn't matter if I'm like swinging on a swing set next to my favorite dead dog on a cloud for eternity.
Yeah.
I just like, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. I don't want it. I would like when it's done for it to be done.
Yeah.
So I have, if I die and then I like open my eyes somewhere in an afterlife, I'll be pissed. I think that's why babies cry a lot. If there is reincarnation, babies are very uncomfortable because, you know, they had to fucking do it all over again.
Yeah. I don't think I believe in reincarnation because, like,
I don't want to believe in anything. Yeah. I don't want to believe in anything, but I'm an agnostic. I'm an agnostic about everything. Like, there might be lizard people. There might be.
I hope not, but there could be.
You should look it up. Google it. Lizard people.
I have Googled
Okay.
it. Yeah.
You don't know. You're a fallible human being. Yeah. How would you know?
As my dad would say.
The Bilderbergs.
As my dad say, when I'd like ask him like questions about religion, he's like, "You are finite. God is infinite."
Oh.
And then he'd drop a microphone that he had in his hand, but it was just a spatula, actually.
I'm glad my dad really never says a word.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He says things like, "How are you?" I say, "Okay." We move along.
I do love my dad. I kind of like throw him under the bus sometimes, but I do. We've definitely gotten like closer over like the last like year.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I think I believe in a God, but like I don't know what it is.
I think it's hard to let that go. Like I get sensitive at being raised Catholic and now feeling pretty much agnostic or like leaning towards atheist, but like sometimes things still really upset me.
Yeah.
Like did you watch the new Sabrina the Teenage Witch on Netflix?
I don't have
it's
Netflix.
Like really satanic.
Yeah.
and I was watching it with my wife and we were like, she was totally into it. And I was like, I don't like this. This makes me feel very uncomfortable. So, because it's just like, it's accessing that like little altar boy inside of me that's like, this is wrong.
Yeah. When I used to work at Barnes & Noble and someone like put on hold the Satanic Bible and like on my breaks, I would like read some of it. And, like, some of the stuff is kind of, like, not that bad, but there's also, like, really, really, like, fucked up stuff. And I was like, oh, like, if you just, like, took out, like, all the fucked up stuff, it's basically, like, how to be a libertarian.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what Satanists are now. They're like, they don't actually really believe in Satan, and they're not like sacrificing virgins or anything like that, but they're like, it's like a hedonistic, humanistic, like, but it still makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, more power to them.
If there's like a goat head on something, I get uncomfortable.
yeah. And
Except
I
if
realize,
it's like on a goat body, then it's fine.
yeah, goat head on a goat body, normal. Goat head on a person, I still makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. Even though logically I know that there's really nothing wrong with that, and anybody can practice anything, and it's fine. It's just like I said, like somewhere in me is a tiny little altar boy.
Yeah.
And it
there's
just
still parts of me
pushes
that
those buttons. Yeah.
think I'm going to hell.
Yeah. Well, I don't really think. Let's hope there's not a hell.
But I'll repent on my deathbed, so it'll be fine.
What's the next one?
What's your favorite joke of all time?
Let me think. I should have been thinking of this before. Well, I do have like a kind of favorite like non-joke joke, and it's dumb, but it's like Batman and Robin are walking down the street, and Batman falls down, and Robin starts to laugh, and Batman says, "Why are you laughing?" And Robin says, "Because that was funny." It's like a joke about jokes. I like stuff like that. I don't know. I have favorite comics. Sarah Silverman is one of those people that like walks really close to the line and then is still like so endearing, and I'm pretty sure like politically is like kind of on my side, you know, and I aspire to be like Sarah Silverman. She's so goofy and kind of dirty, but also kind of like I just think she's hilarious. But she has a joke. All she says is, "No woman is asking to be raped, but some women are asking to be motorboated." And I think that is the fucking funniest joke I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Kills
Kills
me every time. Yeah.
Motorboating is fun.
And no, you know, I like, that's where I could look at humor and be like, Sarah Silverman doesn't think that some women deserve or are asking to be motorboated. It's just funny, and it calls to mind that imagery of just like somebody with their boobs all out. Like, it's so funny to me.
Do girls like being motorboated?
I can't answer that question. I'm not like regular girl. But I kind of doubt I'm pretty sure motorboating has to be consensual. Listening public, don't motorboat somebody non-consensually.
Ask for consent before you motorboat. Or drive a motorboat that isn't yours.
All good advice.
I guess the final question is, do you have like a worst you've ever bombed story?
I have a saddest bomb story. When I was...
Does it end in a positive note?
Not really. Now I'm a fairly confident comedian. I can bomb and like learn from it and that kind of stuff. And I also have been fortunate enough to be able to do a lot of really cool shows and festivals and things like that. But my first ever like cold call to a comedy club, my in-laws live in Atlanta, so this is a couple years ago, and I was like not a totally new comic. I felt pretty good about my set, but my first like cold call to a club, my in-laws live in Atlanta, and we were traveling there anyway. So Laughing Skull is like the comedy club in Atlanta. It's a big club. So I just emailed them with like a tape and my information and said like, I'll be in Atlanta from these days to these days if you have any spots available. And they put me on a showcase, and I was like stoked. And other comics were stoked for me because Laughing Skull is a big comedy club. And I fucking ate shit. Like I got there, and it was, you know, a busy-ish night at the club. It's much smaller than I thought it would be. It's probably only seats like 50 people. But it was, you know, 50 full seats. Yeah. And I don't know. It just, I got too in my head, and I was too nervous. There's like a green room where you can like watch video like of the comics that are on stage during the showcase, and two people kind of bombed before me,
Uh-huh.
and like it just sapped my confidence.
Oh,
And I went
no.
out there, I was not confident at all. I remember I usually never look at my notes for comedy, but I had to like pull up my phone and like look at notes, and I was just like sweating and
Yeah.
like not okay. I was not okay.
Damn.
And then I just kind of went home feeling really crappy. Actually, I had another set in Atlanta that went okay, but it just that it was just like a kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cuz I felt like so happy about getting that
Yeah.
booking, and then I blew it.
Yeah.
So that's the saddest bomb. I mean, I've had bombs where like I have to be like I have to do like a 20-30 minute set, and like half of it's not going well.
Yeah.
And recently I did a show at Zizimos in Baltimore. It was back-to-back shows, so like I think there was like a 7:00 seating and a 9:30 seating.
Oh yeah, I think you told me. About
Did I
this.
tell you
Yeah,
about this?
yeah, I
And like,
think
so I guess the 9:30 hadn't sold very well, so the promoter went around to all the people who came at 7, and they were like, "You can stay for the next show. You don't have to pay the cover again."
Yeah.
So almost the whole crowd stayed, but it was the same people.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have some different jokes, but I just didn't have time to like craft a whole other set. And oh God.
Yeah.
So it sucked. But some stuff sucks.
Yeah.
What's your worst bomb?
I went to Fergie's, I think, in Philly. Ruby Nicholas got me in because I was 19 at the time, and I just like 2 laughs probably like for the whole 5 minutes, and like I ate shit. And then this guy came up, he's like, "Hey, what's your name?" I'm like, "Tyler," and he's like, "Did you like lose like a fucking bet?"
Oh, that sucks.
That was awful.
Fergie's is a great room, and the people who run it are really, what I like about it is that there's like 5 hosts or something like that, and like some of them just run the light, and some of them, they kind of section it off because a lot of people go to that mic. And but what I always like to see that the mic is that almost everybody that hosts or is any part of that mic goes every single Sunday. Like I wish we could foster that in Lancaster, because I often. Like I'm co-hosting a mic. I host one week, somebody hosts the next week, but they don't show up to like anybody else's week, and I'm just like, what's the deal? So, but I mean, I think you could go back to Fergie's. But what you do have to know is that that's a room that's a little. They have more of a progressive leaning, and so they're definitely going to want to hear. Things that are maybe a little political or just observational about you. They don't want to hear your like, I'm trying to work on talking about race jokes. They don't want to hear that.
That was one joke, and it was bad, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I did it at the Wednesday mic because Joey Tepedino was like, "Do the joke." It wasn't that bad. I'm not gonna say it, but it wasn't.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'm not gonna do it again.
That's what I think that comics can joke about race, but I think it has to be funny first. Like it doesn't.
It wasn't that funny.
And I think jokes about race are different than racist jokes.
Yeah. I don't think mine was a racist joke.
Yeah, but it wasn't funny.
Yeah, I know.
And so I think a joke about race that isn't funny might even be interpreted as racist, because it's like, you shouldn't talk about this until you actually have a firm grip on what's funny about it.
Yeah. So I just gotta get funnier.
Yeah, just get funnier. That's the trick. If that's my tip for being as successful as I am in comedy, still a local comic. Just be funny. That's my.
That sounds like a good note to end on. Oh, James just walked in as we're about to wrap up. I just wanted to say thank you to Audrie for coming. I appreciate you, and I love you.
It's really good to hang out with you on a Sunday morning. It's fun.
Thank you again for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Thank you, guys.